do write yourself some notes. Like later on, like I'm gonna say exponents top minus bottom or something. If you need to write it, I know you guys cannot use that review on the final, but you can always look at it before you walk in. You can look at it the night before, or whatever. You know, write yourself some notes. All right, looking at the first question, find each sum. For the numbers, when they have different signs, let me write this without parentheses. I'm going to write -2 minus 2. When they have different signs, it's a minus. Right? Plus a negative, it's a minus. So -2 minus 2. When the numbers have the same sign, we add. When they have different, we subtract. So in this case, I'm going to add them 4, and I'm going to keep the sign. Right. If they have different signs, I'm looking at question number 2. If they have different signs, subtract. Right, 2 minus 1 is 1. And always keep the sign of the large one. So in my case, number 2 is positive. Once again, if they have the same sign, you add. If they have different signs, you subtract. I started you guys easily with two numbers. Then at number 5, I'm moving to 3 numbers. I'm looking at the first two, -4 and a -8. Let me call that -12. Remember, when they have different sign, you subtract. When they have the same sign, you add. So I have -12 plus 3. How much is -12 plus 3? -9. Right, because we subtract and keep the sign of the large one. So we have this idea until question number 8. Any questions up until 8? Number 8? Looking at number 8, the first two numbers, +4, -3, I'm going to call that +1. Remember, because I subtract different signs, you subtract, keep the sign of the large one. So I have +1 and a -4. Right? Notice I dropped the next number. +1 and a -4. I'm going to call that a -3. Different signs you subtract and keep the sign of the large one. So the final is 100 questions. You guys have 2 hours, 120 minutes. So roughly a little more than a minute per question. I don't think these questions take you a whole minute. Right? Anything up until number 8. Looking at question number 9, my idea here is to still continue working on the sign. We have two negative signs that converts it into a positive sign. So this looks like 3 plus 8. Okay. Two negative signs become a positive sign. So how much is 3 plus 8? 11. So that's the same idea you guys have until number 16. Any questions up until 16? 15? Looking at number 15, let me write everything without parentheses. So I'm going to have -2 for the first number, +2 for the second number, because remember, two negative signs make a plus sign. On the last one, I'm going to have +2, the same idea. Two negative signs make a plus sign. Combining the first two numbers, I'm going to call that 0, because they have different signs, so I subtract. So 0 plus 2, I'm just going to call that 2. All right. Any other questions? 16? Looking at 16, let me write -3 plus 5 plus 7. So again, I just wrote it without parentheses. And when there were two negative signs, I made it a plus sign. The first two numbers, -3, +5, I'm going to call that +2. I subtracted because they had different signs and kept the sign of the large. Then 2 plus 7, I'm going to call that 9. Anything up until 20, because 17 through 20 is the same idea. Anything up until 20. Yep. Looking at number 21. For multiplication, first I'm going to go my numbers. 8 times 5, I know it's 40. Now for the sign, in multiplication or division, it doesn't matter which one is bigger. Like for addition, subtraction, it does. I said that for addition, subtraction, keep the sign of the large one. But for multiplication, division, it does not matter. If the signs are different, like our case, the sign is negative. It doesn't matter which one's bigger. If the signs are different, for multiplication or division, it's negative. If they're the same, then it's positive. Like real quick, I'm looking at question number 22. That is positive because the signs are the same, right? Two negatives. Once again, if the signs are the same, it's positive. If the signs are different, negative. It does not matter which one's bigger. So that happens for multiplication and division. So any question for multiplication, any questions up until 29. No questions? Up until 29? No? Alright, let's take a look at division. Number 30. Right. First, I divide 27 divided by 3. Like asking myself, how many times does 3 go into 27? And I'm going to get 9. Then I look at the sign, because the signs are the same, right? Two positive numbers, my answer is positive. Just like in division, if the signs were, just like in multiplication, if the signs were different, my answer would have been negative. Multiplication, division, it does not matter which one is bigger. Any questions up until 34? Alright, now looking at number 35, simplify, your answer should contain only positive exponents. So I notice that I'm multiplying, but it has the same base. When I call the base is the big number, not the exponent. So my base is 4. I'm just going to copy the base for right now. Copy the base 4. Now in multiplication, you add the exponents. So 4 plus 3 is 7. So I'm just going to have 4 to the 7. For simplifying, just leave it as 4 to the 7. Right? Don't figure out what's 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. Right? Don't multiply it 7 times. Just leave it as 4 to the 7. If I wanted you guys to multiply it all the way through, then I will say solve or evaluate. That's the other word we use. But simplify, just simplify. And then it says your answer should contain only positive exponents. So if there's any negatives, like for example, let's say instead of being positive 7, this was a negative 7. So I'm just saying as an example, if it's a negative, make it a fraction and put it at the bottom. In the top, always leave it as a 1. I said, if it's a negative sign, so in my case it was positive, but if it was a negative, put it as a fraction and put it at the bottom. Now the fraction, the negative sign just tells you there is a fraction. That's the only difference. Any questions up until 39? All right, looking at number 40, right, for multiplication, which we were doing for 39, up until 39, multiplication, we added the exponent. For division, which is the opposite, let me subtract. But you always subtract top number minus the bottom. So I'm going to copy the base, which is 6, and I'm going to go 2 minus 4. The top number minus the bottom. Let's say if you guys need to write yourself some notes, top minus bottom, whatever you guys need to write, remember that paper is for you. So I know 2 minus 40 is negative 2. Less. So I know 2 minus 40 is a negative 2. I see a negative exponent. So that tells me I have a fraction. My 6 to the second goes at the bottom, and the top I write it as a 1. So again, the negative exponent is just so you know it's a fraction. That's it. Anything up until number 44. 41? All right, looking at 41. 43? Okay, before I move into 43, on 41, the top number should have a 1. Everything should have an exponent. So don't think it's a 0, it's a 1. Right, then you guys can do that. You said 43, let me move into 43, the same thing. The top should be a 1. Right, if you don't see an exponent, we can write it. So I'm going to write 1 minus 2, top minus bottom, which is negative 1. It's a negative exponent, so I know that 6 to the 1 goes at the bottom, and the 1 on top. Because it's a 1 exponent, right, 6 to the 1, if you guys just write 1 to the 6, if you guys don't write the 1, it's fine. Right, the 1 is the one we have a choice. A number other than 1, we don't have a choice. We have to write it out. All right. Any other questions up until 44? Now looking at 45, I see parentheses. And then I remember parentheses, I remember this distributive property. Right? The number on the outside multiplied to the things on the inside. We're dealing with exponents, so multiply the exponents. So I'm going to have 6 to the 6. Right? Multiply the exponents. When you see parentheses, remember distributive property. Number on the outside multiplied to the numbers on the inside. Since you're dealing with exponents, multiply the exponents. Then I look at number 46 and 47. Those are tricky just because they're easy. Let me put both of them up there. 46 and 47, they're already simple. Like that's the answer. Like I said, they're simple. That's it. There's nothing to do. Just leave it. 7 to the 4. So obviously write it out. 7 to the 4 and 7 to the 3. Right? I don't see multiplication. I don't see division. I don't see parentheses. I just see it simple. Like I said, because the answers are so simple, it gets confusing. So this takes us up until 49, right? My goal was to finish up until 50, but I think if I start 50, that will pretty much cover it up until 60. So I think we're fine stopping at 49, unless you guys do mind. But I think we're fine up until 49. And if you look at tomorrow, my goal is to go up to 100, but 101 and 102, pretty much there. So tomorrow we'll stop at 102. We stop at 49 today, 102 tomorrow. Do keep your review though. Don't throw it away.